We'll go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation, under God.
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
And we are back once again into Sunday afternoon, and we are tucked away in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. And joining me today is Eli again. You're just part of the podcast now. I keep saying that, but I make it sound like it's special that you're here. Don't get me wrong, but it's like Eli is the other half of the podcast at this point.
Well, on the way to the store, I just make a left instead of a right.
Yeah, that's right.
Up here.
So I like it. So that was the intro for the actual podcast. Now we're gonna do our special intro that we have created for the live
Sunday
viewers.
live session.
Sunday live. So it's the Patriot Defense Podcast, and coming at you is my name is Tasty.
I am Treat.
And we
are your Sunday tasty treat.
your Sunday afternoon tasty treat. That sounded a lot better when it's raining out, dude.
I was wondering what that sound was.
So yeah, anyhow, we had one viewer and we did that and they went, oh, wrong podcast. They went, kids are in the room. We are out. We are out. So once again, I'll just start off by saying, if you're out there, if we get some people watching this, go ahead and you can actually comment, whether you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, comment there and we will see it and we will respond to it, unless you're just being a smartass, and then we may not respond to it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll see.
We're still trying to get over our tasty treat intro. Yeah.
Storm's rolling in.
Storm's rolling in. I'm getting distracted because it was beautiful today, and then we got all this freaking wind, and now it's Idaho.
Yeah,
They got the wind. We got it. It's crappy out now. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So real quick before we forget, because we talked about it last time, but you actually listened to, and I've actually checked them out, and they're pretty cool. But you listened to a podcast, and we did a little shout. And now I'm going to play some audio. So you were listening to your podcast, and you like to talk with these guys, right? What is it called again?
Permaculture Pimpcast.
You got to listen to that name, Permaculture Pimpcast.
And they're with Perma Pasture Farms. So if you need anything like deer repellent, they do like bone salts, comfrey salves. So you can take a look at them, Perma Pasture Farms. They sell those kinds of products for those anyone looking to, whether it's permaculture or just overall just taking care of your garden or whatnot.
Right. Well, you need to get a hold of them for me and find out when my ducks are dying.
Ooh.
I don't have any more Muscovy ducks, but anyhow, they did it. They give us a little shout out, so we'll play that.
All right.
Also on Patriot Defense Podcast, I went and checked them out myself, and they seem to be doing good work over there. Didn't get to check out a whole lot. Anyway, he says, wanted to pass along, we started appearing on a podcast he started appearing on to talk about firearms training and self-defense mostly. Y'all, in light of everything that's going on right now, I can't think of a more sensible podcast to be mixed up with right now. So go check them out. I know I am.
And that happens to be the smartest guy I know right now.
Yeah,
great.
Same here.
That is stellar advice. And they're all the way from where? North Carolina?
Yeah, I believe they're in North Carolina.
North Carolina, beautiful state. I went up there a couple of years ago and did a bunch of running. Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous state. So, anyhow, let's get into talking about firearms. That's what the people are here for.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So, I've been doing a little, we'll talk about my P30. I got to talk about my P30. I posted a video of me doing some dry fire with my P30. I had lent out my Mantis X. If you don't know what that is, it's like a little electronic, like dry fire, training aid. And it's my favorite one out of all of them. I get this question all the time when I do the radio shows. People say, hey, what do you think of the Mantis X? Or what do you think of this? Well, honestly, I haven't tried many of the other ones, but I have tried the Mantis X, and I think I got it like the first like when they first came onto the market, and they've got like 5 different versions now, and I still have the first version, and it works great. Connects to an app on my phone, and so I just spent a little bit of time in here doing some dry fire, and I will say I kept it within like 90 95 to like 99%. So I was actually pretty stoked. It's kind of cool because it kind of scores you when you do your dry fire, and you can I've actually started a little group. I think it's called Patriot Defense. It's like a little group that if you are a Mantis X, I think you can go look that up, become a part of that group, and we can like look and see how we're doing. So, I mean, if you have a Mantis X, look it up, man. Join the group. There's me and another gentleman on there by the name of Jack Neat. He's on there, and so he's done pretty well. Now, if you go back and look at all my history, I will say that I use. I'm not that technically savvy, so I use this for a lot of students. So you're gonna see my how good I am, like bounce. Seriously, it bounces all.
Excuse.
It's not an excuse. I promise you. And it's so it bounces around quite a bit. But join that, and we'll just kind of keep track of each other. It's fun. I mean. You know, I was just sitting in here one day, and I usually in the mornings I will go and I'll do my run and go to the gym, exercise, whatever, and I'll come back here and I'll usually do some computer work. Right, I can't sit there and stare at a computer all day. So I was like, oh man, I got my Mantis X back. It just so happened I had charged it up the day before, and I got it and I attached it to the old P30, and I kind of just stood in this. In fact, I was right over behind you, sir. I stood in here and did a bunch of dry fire, worked on the grip, worked on the sight presentation, and did the dry fire. It's fantastic. It looks like we got a comment here from Jim. He says, he's here in the Bay Area. He's got a house in Kimberly. Is the snow gone for the year? It's gone right now, but I think we're supposed to get a little bit more tonight. I don't know. Idaho, man. I mean, you got a house here, so you must have spent some time here. The weather it'll change overnight.
And are you speaking Idaho language or San Francisco language or Bay Area? Because snow means something else in the Bay Area.
No, right now the snow is gone. I mean, we've been pretty kind of. I'm still gonna say we're cold, but we're thawing out. But I mean, we could still get some snow. I don't think it's going to be anything major. We could still get a skiff here or there. I'm pretty sure. So.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed, man. I'm so ready for spring.
Yeah,
I'm so ready for spring.
Should come by like late June.
Something like that. I hope, because I've actually had some classes that I scheduled, and I'll just talk about it now. I know we have a lot of people that don't live here that listen to this podcast, but I know we have a lot of people that do. In fact, one of them called me this week.
Oh, okay.
And was commenting on something, and we'll discuss that here in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, let me find my class dates. I put them in here because I don't want to forget. So I'm working on getting my permit classes, Idaho Enhanced permit classes, scheduled clear through September. And so I've got the next 4 months scheduled on the dates. And so I have a class on March 18th, April 22nd, May 27th, and June 24th. And since I'm pretty sure no one's copying this down right now, which is okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'll post about them on the Patriot Defense Facebook page, social media, probably on Instagram as well. Get those out there, and as they get more dates, I just want to get them all planned out for the year.
Yeah.
Also, I have a class that I've been putting on for a couple of years. It started out, I changed the name. It was called Behind Closed Doors. That was pretty intriguing, isn't it? Actually, so it's the same class, but I changed the name to Defensive Fundamentals.
Oh, okay.
I figured I might as well just be like everyone else. People are getting concerned not knowing what we were doing behind closed doors. As I told them, I said, don't tell anyone where you're coming.
First rule about gun club.
We don't talk about it. It stays behind closed doors. Anyhow, Defensive Fundamentals, it's a good class. It kind of takes you outside of thinking outside of the box, right? It takes your basic stance, your basic grip. We focus on trigger press, but we change everything. We tweak everything. We teach you how to manage and accept that recoil a lot better. We teach you how to shoot quicker and more accurate, get on target, all that stuff a lot quicker. That's what we focus on with that defense. And you're going to shoot some rounds. So I'm not a big, I don't like to waste rounds, and I'm not saying we're going to waste rounds in this, but this is for Patriot Defense, it's a pretty high round count class. I think I'd have to look at the criteria again because it's been a few months since I've done this. So I think I tell everyone to try and bring like 400 rounds.
Oh,
and we kick it out. It's about a four-ish hour class.
Okay.
And it could go a little longer. It may go a little shorter depending on how many people sign up for it. But I got those scheduled. One on April 29th and another one for June 17th. And as I release those, you guys will see the times and the dates and all that good stuff. And I'll again post about it on social media, talk about it on the radio as well. But it's you learn something with every round fired. I mean, it's some of the drills I got you doing. I mean, you're going to learn something, and your trigger press is going to be a lot better, and you're going to learn that trigger reset. And we're drilling that stuff into you for like 4 hours. We're going to teach you how to manage a recoil. It's a good class. And
I think with that many rounds too, you start to simulate some of that stress that will come into play if you actually are in the self-defense situation.
Yeah,
in which that fatigue and stuff, like the stress is going to create that. So if you're used to already pressing that trigger while you're tired, while you're fatigued, then when that stress hits in that moment, you'll be a lot better prepared.
Yeah, no, for sure. And here's the thing: I see people come into the permanent classes, and there's some people that just don't go. Most people don't go shoot a lot, and even especially the brand new people, but even the people that have a lot of time over the years shooting like 100 rounds. I mean, that's for a lot of people, that's a lot of rounds, especially 100 rounds actually holding the correct stance and focusing on the trigger. You're not just mag dumping this 100 rounds, right? You mag dump it, and anyone can do that really quick and really not feel the fatigue because you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel some fatigue, and you should start. You're going to feel it in your hands. You're going to feel it in your forearms. You're going to feel it in your shoulders. You're going to feel it in your neck. I've had my women's group, and I talked about this before, my women's group and my men's group, they've been over here just spending almost an hour like dry firing. I mean, and I'm going to do this because everyone can see me now. I don't think they could see us the last podcast because we didn't do it live. But they're taking their firearm, they're getting the grip, they're bringing it up their chest, and they're I'm going to do it up here, and they're driving it out to a bullseye target on the wall. They're driving it out, acquiring that sight picture, they're stiffening and tightening their wrists, locking their arms out. They're getting that good nutcracker, that good clamshell grip, right? And they're pressing that trigger. And literally, bam, rack the slide, bring it in, go out again. And you're just constantly flexing those muscles. Yeah. I get some of the ladies and even the guys are like, holy cow, my arms are tired. Like, they're jello. Can you open the door for me? It's time to go, right? And that's cool, man. And that's the way it should be. It's like, honestly, unless you're just out shooting for fun, just got a bunch of safe queens out there, and and I get that. When you're training with a firearm, I mean, you should feel it. If you're doing it right, you should feel it, right? I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
Honestly, you're working muscles that you need to work, and I tell everyone on that trigger press, right? It's all about isolating your trigger finger from the rest of the hand, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that we have them do is I have them do this, act like you're holding a gun, tighten everything up through here, and now try to move that trigger finger and see if you move the rest of your hand, right? Mm-hmm. And to shoot well, you need to build up. My wife's calling me. She knows better than that. You need to build up the strength in your hand and the strength in your forearms, right? And all my women's groups, and I love having the ladies groups here and the men's group because they're here a couple times a month, and man, I get to see the progress. It's fascinating to me to watch the progress, and they get better and they get more confident. And I encourage everyone, go out and shoot and shoot constantly, and go out and take classes from Patriot Defense, right? And learn and grow. And if you take a permit class from me, you get a shot at buying a private instruction class, right? Just me and you to work on whatever it is you want to work on. You get a chance to purchase that for half price, which is like 2 hours for like $50. That's a damn good deal.
Yeah.
And so you get that option. So if you need your permit, come get your permit and then score you one of those, and we'll get you on the range and teach you all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Everything behind closed doors. I'm kidding. But just to finish talking about classes, I got a beginning fundamentals class, and that's just going to be like a 2-hour class, and I'll have one of those on April 29th as well. So I'll have it in the morning. The defensive fundamentals class will be in the afternoon. So you could sign up for the beginning fundamentals class, take it, then you got 2 hours for lunch, and then come back, sign up for the defensive fundamentals.
Nice.
and do that as well, man. And you get like it to be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be a good day of shooting right there.
Absolutely.
That'd be a fantastic
And
day.
it doesn't hurt anyone who thinks, if you're already into firearms or whatever, these classes, not as if it can hurt you, to just stay on point, to keep your skills nice and fresh. And obviously, if it's your first time having a firearm, definitely, take steps towards building up your skills.
And I'm such a jerk. I'm such a hard ass instructor too. You felt me. Am I a hard ass military type instructor?
No.
Far from it. In fact, I'm the guy over there cracking all the jokes.
Yeah.
Typically. Yeah.
In a safe environment.
In a safe environment. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You guys probably, like you and James, like you and Magnum, like helped me out in my permit class. I see you guys looking down there and goes, would you just shut up and let him shoot? I'm making friends all over the place, man. That's what I'm doing. So that's what we got going on. And then I got another announcement coming up. I'm just trying to get a few final dates put together. There's a program that I think I'm going to start this year, but start soon. But I got to get all the ducks aligned, everything put together, because I have to pre-schedule stuff.
Yeah.
And that's becoming a challenge to get, because my permit classes, I have to rely on law enforcement to teach part of it, and I'm relied on their schedules. And so it's not like I can just say, I'm going to have a class this day, this day, this day, this day. I have to say, I'm going to have a class this day, this day, this day, and this day. And how does that work for you?
Yeah.
And when I'm asking and I'm relying on someone else to give me their schedule 6 months or 7 months out, it gets a little difficult.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm working between two guys.
Yeah.
So as soon as one says, well, don't worry, I'll ask the other guy.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Well, I need a third guy to ask, because I got to get this fixed.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the government, they have their thumb on me no matter what I do in this business.
Oh yeah. On all of us.
On all of us. That's right. That's right. So let's talk about, I try to have, I like to have some ranty stuff to talk about.
All right.
Bit, but so I know that I do social media, and do I like social media? I do kind of like social media, but it's one of those things is you get the luxury, and like, I know you and like the Cajun Cowboy, like he does some Twitter, but he gets banned off Twitter like every other day. But like you guys get the joy of like, not like, you're so, I won't say you're disconnected from social media.
Yeah.
And how does that feel?
Feels amazing.
Does it feel amazing?
Yeah, I gave it up probably about 12 years ago when I went into the Air Force.
And you're just like, did you get out because you're tired of all the like the idiotic bullshit that takes place on there, or was it because I know a lot of military guys say like, I'm getting off this.
Yeah, I think for me, it was one of those things. I felt like I was getting too into it. I never delved into it too hard, but definitely I think it, like seeing, I guess, looking at yourself, seeing some flaws. For me, I thought, the likes and stuff like that, you get that little
dopamine hit.
Yeah, dopamine hit. And I thought, this just isn't right. I'm going to, become someone I shouldn't become, basically, by retrieving that kind of hit,
So we have polar opposites here, because there's you. Okay, and you say that. Meanwhile, I'm a social media whore. That's all I am. No. Here's the thing. I do have personal social medias, and I don't really, besides putting maybe a picture of my grandkid or my kid's cross country meet or whatever it is. I don't on my personal stuff, but man, the Patriot Defense page, right? I'm posting on there like 4 or 5 times a day. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you right now, folks, that is kind of difficult. It is difficult keeping up posts on, even in my business page. It really is. It's difficult. And luckily there's a feature, because they've all come together now. I can post on one and it posts on the other, which is Instagram. And then I even do the TikTok. Yeah. And I know that's, people don't like that.
Do you do it in Mandarin or?
Yeah, whatever. I'm sure it's translated out and whatever. Yeah, I try to help the people who own TikTok. I try to help them out a little bit, make their job just a little
Cantonese.
Yeah, I just try to make their job a little easier. No, it's like I gotta be on it because I reach a certain amount of people, right? Yeah. And then that enables me to. Are the people that watch me on TikTok? Are they going to like come all the way over here and take classes. No, they're not.
Yeah.
But you know what? It helps with like the podcast. I mentioned the podcast. But man, I tell you what, there's some real ass hats on there. And like there is on all social media. And so I'm going to talk about, well, we got some other stuff we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about social media for just a few minutes here.
Right.
Something I've been wanting to talk about for a little while. On my business page, on the Patriot Defense Facebook page and Instagram, right? I am going to post things that people are going to disagree with. And people are going to think that I am just poking fun. But that's all social media is, right? Yeah. I'm not being a jerk. I'm not saying this or that. I'm making fun of absolutely everything, including myself.
Yeah.
Okay. I am making fun of people who own Tauruses. I am making fun of people who own Glocks. I am making fun of people who own 1911s. I am making fun of the tactical LARPers. I am making fun of the high points. I am making fun of people who like to shoot 40 cal and own one. I'm making fun of everyone. But guess what? I have a Taurus. Guess what? I have a freaking high point. In fact, I could probably got the dumbest high point out there. It's the one that says yeet cannon on the side. I own one of those. I mean, you know, I make fun of people who like Savage rifles. Guess what? I've got like 4 of them. Okay? It is what it is. Just know I'm not making fun of you. I feel bad because sometimes I do feel a little bad. Oh gosh, I'm just going to offend all these people. Freaking, it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I make fun of myself too. That's kind of what social media is. Now I put up a lot of memes, right? That's to keep the flow going. That's to help the algorithm out, because if I'm not seen, then all of a sudden it goes away and anything that I've built up will go away. And trust me, I am a firearms company. Okay. I'm a firearms based on social media. I'm a pariah. That they don't like me. And it's hard enough to get people to see the post. So I try to, you know, I grasp at whatever memes I can put up there, you know, among the, you know, informative like news articles or alerts that they're doing this for your gun rights, or my videos or pictures from my class, which I think are probably of what I do out here. That's probably the most important things, right? But I've got to just pepper it all in there.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I see it with social media, it's kind of a digital facsimile of the bar, the pool hall, book clubs, different social, you know, atmospheres in which, 20, 30 years ago were commonplace, where you go to meet other people and you hear discussions. So when people are getting offended in that way, you know, it's the equivalent of going to a pool hall and just expecting everyone to just shut up and be quiet.
Right.
It's like, no, you're going to go there and there's going to be people disagreeing, and hopefully it's in a, you know, good manner and people understand the just fun of it.
Yeah.
And so same thing. Yeah. I would say with the digital form of that is, you know, like if you came here to just hear exactly what you already think, then you know, get off.
Well, it's one of those things. Is I think that there every now and then I get someone to question what I put there. Hey, but if I know them, I know they're just giving me a hard time too, right? And it is what it is. But there is a lot of people that I think don't comment at all. And meanwhile, I'm like, oh man, that new person in class that just showed up with that Taurus, I probably just offended them. And I don't mean to. It's not what I'm trying to do, because I'll teach anyone to use any gun they bring to me. I mean, I've got all those same guns, right? All of them. And you guys, people on social media don't hear it, but I get made fun of all the time, right?
Yeah.
But feel free. Feel free to give me crap too. Give me a hard time on social media.
Yeah.
Make fun of me a little bit. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, it's like showing up to, you know,
I'm not trying to hurt feelings.
Pick up basketball game, you know, guy who you're about to play with or against, you know, make fun of your shoes. He makes fun of yours. Then the day you realize, hey, we're playing pickup basketball. We're all going to brick a bunch of shots.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. I mean,
it's just fun.
If I give you a hard time about your high point,
you
need to say, listen here, this is what you need to tell me. Listen here, you semi-retired asshat. I know you've got a yeet cannon and you're safe. And I'm sorry for all the cursing today, but I mean, that's what you don't curse on the Facebook page, please. But I mean, you know, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
Just give me a hard time. I'm not picking on anyone. I'm really not. I'm just, I am, but don't take it personal.
Yeah. And that's another reason, like, why I got off, because it is so easy for people to misinterpret.
Because there's no feeling behind words.
Yeah.
You can't. You could read them one way, and I could laugh, and then the same person's going to read them and they'll be all offended and they feel like the person was shouting at them.
Yeah. And then again, yeah, right. Like, I think maybe on social media now you can kind of limit who sees what, but it's like I said, like you go to a pool hall, right? Or you go to pick up basketball game, you're selecting kind of people you're going with. And you know, like, hey, I could talk about this with them.
Right.
On social media, it's so hard because you have someone who knows you from over here, and then someone who knows you from over here. You tell a joke that someone over here might get, but then the person's over here is going to go, hey, was that a personal attack on me? You know, you're like, what? I wasn't even thinking about you when I posted that.
I tell you what, if you want to attack me, I don't care what page it's on. Like, you want to attack me, you call me, like, you know, pick on my running. Yeah. That'll offend me.
You lint muncher. Was that peppermint commercial?
Yeah.
Peppermint gum.
So I don't know. But I will so we're going to talk about social media again here, and I've got the photo. I always screenshot everything because I know I screenshot everything because sometimes it doesn't pull up like it should. So, okay. So I did post a video to TikTok. And I think I posted it to Instagram and everything, but I got a lot of comments on like TikTok's a great place for comments, right? You watch the video, you comment. I don't know who these people are, but I posted a video, okay, and it pretty much is a real short video, but it talked about how if you're gonna carry, I would like to see you carry with a round chambered and ready to go. That's the best way to carry it, right? Carry your gun ready all times. You can just draw the gun. You can use it if you have to. And then I use the sound that, what is it? Dumb ways to die, right? If you don't do it, that's a dumb way to die, right? And so we had someone comment on it, and they said, nah, it's okay. It's okay for the average person to not carry with a round chambered. If I was law enforcement or I lived in a bad area, I for sure would carry with a round chambered. But if you're just the average Joe, you don't have to worry about it. That's a dumb statement. You can go on social media, you can go on lots of videos, and you can see there's tons of videos out there that you are probably not going to be able to rack that slide in time. Whether or not you're just not quick, you're not coordinated, you haven't trained for it, or you just got something in your other hand. Maybe it's the baby carrier. Maybe it's your wife's hand. Maybe it's your whatever that you don't want to let go of. You don't want to set down, and you have to draw the gun. It's going to save you time. It's going to get you on target and in the game to be able to defend yourself a lot quicker than if you were to have to draw that gun, use your other hand to rack the slide, or heaven forbid, rack the dang thing off your belt or your shoe or boot or whatever it is you're wearing, because they do teach that, right? I'm going to tell you right now, it is a training, and I've hounded on this before. It's a training issue, and I get it. You're uncomfortable doing it, right? Here, get yourself a good holster, a good Kydex holster, something that you can depend on, something that's going to protect the trigger. Get yourself a good firearm, one that's not going to go off, one that you can trust, right? A typical firearm is not going to go off unless you do what? Depress the trigger.
Yeah.
And we had someone else on here say that he had... I don't think I've got it saved, but he talked about how he was in a high-ranking military position, and he's seen really very, very experienced professionals shoot themselves because they were carrying with a round chambered. I'm like, well, okay, well, I don't know if you're just saying that, but even if you're not, I'm going to tell you right now, then those people, they got way too comfortable with their firearm, which didn't cause them to be negligent.
Yeah. And
right?
Yeah. Try not to rant about it, but high-ranking official.
Rant about it. Rant away.
High-ranking official, I would think that means probably an officer, in which case that doesn't mean that they're typically hanging around a bunch of people who are consistently utilizing their firearms.
Right.
Yeah, if someone did that in the officer hall, I wouldn't be surprised because they're not the their training is not towards the more functional aspect of physical combat and gun use.
Gotcha. I was not in the military, so I'm just letting you go.
So yeah, high ranking doesn't necessarily mean what. Yeah. Anyways, but yes, I would say my thoughts on it are, I think however you're going to carry, definitely practice how you play. So even if you choose not to put one in the chamber, just make sure you're practicing so that you are as quick as possible. And if you do put a round in the chamber, same thing, still trained that way, right? Don't put it in there, not train that it's in there to where you still are off guard or not able to properly use it in a safe manner. However you're doing it, practice how you play.
Well, and there's a way to do it. And, here's what I always go back to and what I tell everyone is, okay, when did you start shooting, right? And for a lot of people, not everyone, for a lot of people, it was in Boy Scouts. It was in Cub Scouts. It was my summer camping group, whatever it is. And what do they teach you? What do they teach you? Probably the basic NRA stuff. And I get it. And what is one of the safety rules? Is a lot of times when you were like on the range with your 22s or even your BB guns, right? Don't unload the gun if you're going to walk around and do this, right? I get that. We were trained not to have a loaded gun unless we were ready to shoot it. Well, we are talking about a self-defense weapon, one that we are carrying to hopefully never have to, but possibly have to defend ourselves. We are protecting the trigger with a good holster. You need to break free from that thinking, and you need to carry with a round chambered. And if you are so nervous about it, I get it. I'm not picking on you, but there's things that you can do. And I tell everyone, especially if you carried like I carry like striker fired guns typically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my good holster. I'm going to put my holster on. I'm going to take my gun. I'm going to remove the magazine. I'm going to clear it. I am going to have no ammo in it. I won't even put the magazine in it, but I'm going to rack the slide, which is going to set that trigger for me. I'm then going to put that gun into my holster, and I'm going to wear it around don't leave your property like that, right? But I'm going to wear it around my property all day, around my house, around my acreage, whatever. I got an unloaded gun, but the hammer is set because I've racked the slide, correct? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, I'm going to, first of all, it's going to demonstrate that, hey, I can walk around and my gun's not going to pop out of my holster randomly. If it does, we need to talk because you're doing it wrong. Mm-hmm. Second of all, at the end of the day, you can draw that firearm, point it in a safe direction, and give it that dry fire. Press that trigger. And what are you going to hear? Click, right? What does that mean? That means that your gun did not fire itself all day long.
Yeah.
Do that till you get comfortable, and then load your gun, chamber that round, and carry it. Now, when you do this, you need to obey the safety rules, right? When you draw the gun, you need to know how to do it properly. You need to, finger off the trigger till you're ready to shoot it, keep the gun pointed in the safe direction, and you need to learn how to draw the gun, and you need to learn how to reholster it correctly, because that's where a lot of the problem lies. Yeah, honestly, is a lot of people will reholster and they aren't paying attention to that trigger, and their finger gets in that trigger guard or a shirt tail or a hoodie string or whatever it is. Something gets in there, right? Good holster. Learn how to do it, how to draw, how to reholster, all that stuff, and it takes a lot of the chance out of it, right?
Yeah, it's about, like with a lot of things, it's about creating a habit, basically.
Exactly.
So yeah, if you are going to carry it a certain way, repeatedly do those things so that it creates, when you take your firearm right out of the holster, right, and you're putting it up for the night or whatever. Yep. You need to create a routine in which you're doing all the same things over and over again till it becomes second nature. In that way, that can become, you're carrying it in a safe manner.
Well, and let's talk about that too. So, some people have what they call a house gun, and some people, and then they have a separate gun call their carry gun, right? Mm-hmm. I carry gun and house gun, they're the same gun, okay? And so what I do. My house gun, people's house guns, a lot of times they'll put them on their, like the nightstand or whatever, where, right next to their bed. Correct. Okay. So what I do, is my holster, guess what? It's a good quality holster. I don't ever have to draw my firearm from the actual holster. I can take the holster and the gun off at the same time. And then my gun only leaves my holster if I'm going to clean it, which is never. Or if I'm going to actually use it to defend myself, or I'm on the range and I'm going to shoot it, right? Mm-hmm. So then what have I done then? I've essentially just protected the holster at all times. I can take it off my belt when I can get home, take it off my person while it's in the holster. I can set it up high. I can put it wherever I need to. I can put it in the safe. I can set it next to my bedside. You name it, right? I can do all that, and it's not a problem then.
Yeah.
And I know that trigger is protected.
Yep.
And that's what a decent holster will get you.
Yeah.
Right? I can take my gun, I can put it in my holster not attached to me. I can flip my holster upside down with my gun in it. I can shake it, and the gun's not going to fall out. It's just not. because a good holster also has a retention point. Typically a screw of some sort, if you don't have like a strap, right? Which I don't, because I carry in the waistband. I can tighten that screw up and it tightens up against the gun and it holds the gun. I can pick the exact tension for what I want. And that's what a good holster will get you.
Yeah.
And that's what people, I stepped on my stuff here. That's what people don't understand. Good quality gear, as good as gear as I saw that. We'll talk about that in a minute. As good a quality gear as you can get. So, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah.
So
what about the shower gun?
Jordan says, "What about the shower gun?"
What about it? Yeah. Do you keep that in the holster?
Sure, I keep it in a. I carry a Glock. I don't carry a Glock. I take my Glock and what I do is I've got this little rack like hanging off the shower head, and it's my bathroom, right? I use it. My wife uses it. And I just take that Glock, and on the shower rack is this little wire, like you can hang like a loofah. So I stick it. I run that little wire right through the trigger guard, and that's where I hang my shower gun, right next to my loofah. And it's a Glock. So when I done shower, I a little body wash, a little shampoo in there, kind of rinse her out.
Nice.
We're good to go, man.
Nice.
What do you don't have a shower gun?
I'm more of just keep the concealed carry gun in one hand, soap in the other.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. That's and you watch. There you go.
Yeah.
So I got the shower gun, and then I keep the high point taped to the back of the toilet. So we're good. It's all good, man. I'm ready to rumble. I just lift up the back of the toilet lid, and up comes the Ziploc bag. Never mind.
But that's a good point, Jordan, because you gotta make sure you're prepared in your most vulnerable states. In
There
the
you
shower,
go.
on the toilet.
That's right. I just lock the door and turn down my TikTok volume a little bit. Well, never mind. It's a toilet time, man. Toilet time is social media time. You guys think about that next time you're reading that Facebook or the Patriot Defense Facebook page. I know what Todd was doing when he was posting this.
Maybe that should be our intro next time. Your face is for toilet time.
That's right. I love it.
Listen to us when you're on the toilet.
There you
Watch
go.
our face.
Yeah. Just watch the video. Don't tell me about that. Great.
When you're looking at when you think about the toilet, we want you to think of us.
So now all four people that are viewing this, now my mind's starting to wander, and I'm like, where are they at? Are they sitting on their couch? Are they sitting in a tractor? Are they on the toilet? That's what
That's why when it goes down and then comes back up, that's you leave the toilet and then you realize, oh, what? Wait, a little bit more.
They had to flush. Oh, this is taking a horrible turn.
Toilet time, self-defense.
We need to quit while we're ahead.
All right.
Let me
before we go down the drain.
There we go. Okay, so let's talk about this. So a story came across today, and this is out of California.
Oh.
And this story was in the Los Angeles Times.
Uh-huh.
And
also, it must be all facts.
It's all facts. And so I should have just left this one to you because that's like your home state.
Well, usually, yeah.
You could probably tell me what it's going to say in this article without me actually reading it, just because it's the same thing, right? So they are trying to pass a bill down in California called Senate Bill 368. It would require firearms dealers to store guns turned in voluntarily by owners at risk of suicide and set up a gun buyback program. So they're going to force FFL holders to couch. Okay. I thank you for the couch. I like that. So it's going to force FFL and gun stores, holders to set up gun buybacks, which we know are so effective, right? It's going to force them to do that. And it's going to, where is it at here? So if a gun store, right, wants to raise money or not raise money, but if a gun store wants to celebrate, it's like their 10-year anniversary, their 5-year anniversary, and they have this, come down, get some free barbecue. You can buy a raffle ticket to win this firearm, right? They're going to put it into that because they're just tired of the free firearms ending up on the streets.
Yeah, because that's where the gangsters get their guns from. Is
Well,
those raffles?
you know,
they show up to the gun store.
when you got the East LA gang,
Yeah,
and they're like, man, we want to
Bloods.
have this like this like turf war, but we don't have enough guns, and we got to wait for Jimmy's Golden Guns to have their barbecue, so we can go down there and see if we can win a rifle.
All right, everybody. As soon as you're done with your teardrop tattoo, go down to the gun store.
That's
Get
right.
a raffle ticket.
Get a raffle ticket. Here's a 10 spot for you, a 10 spot for you. Because that's where they all come from.
Yeah, it's those raffles.
It says right here, it says, we don't need games of chance to attract new people into the gun world.
Games of chance.
If it's detrimental to public health, should we really be giving away freebies?
Public health. That's
Public health.
Oh, public health. Yeah.
So the public health thing is we talked about this. This is something that they actually instituted. They started talking about a couple of years ago as guns. The firearms they were.
Oh yeah, CDC made it a public
health crisis.
Yeah.
A public health crisis where firearms, right? And of course, leave it to California or the Los Angeles Times, to run with that.
Yeah, and it's just like. This
is your baby, dude. This is California.
It's a joke because, the past 3 years, right? You got lockdowns and stuff, right? It's funny how it's, no negative effects from anything associated with anything they did with lockdowns. Oh, but it just happens we got this, mental health crisis now.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's not because you were locked in your house, any of that, you gave control of your life to the government. Nope. It's completely separate. And actually now it's a reason for you to give us your gun. Well,
and so we talked about this just numerous times in the past, but we talked about it right before the podcast. Sometimes that's when we have our best conversations. Is the toilet talk, by the way, we dropped our viewership by half.
Yeah.
That's
by deuce.
They're probably that you're probably right. Anyhow, jeez. So we'll get back on track here.
Yeah.
They take these fancy words and these fancy phrases, right? And then they kind of like mainstream them. And they probably sat back and they looked.
Yeah.
And they went, what's the big catchphrase right now for people who are involved in mass shootings? What do we talk about now?
Yeah.
Mental health.
Yeah.
We talk about mental health.
Yeah.
Mental health. Okay, well, let's use that word health. Okay, public health crisis. And we always talk about how mental health is this big thing. Like which is created by essentially most of the mental health problems lately have been created by the government, right? Because they've locked us down. They've done this. They've done that.
Or even you look at taxes, how they continue to increase or why they exist in the first place, right? It's like that's one of the biggest stressors on people, whether it's running a business or your daily life, right? You like upwards of 50% of your money is gone. And so when you talk about mental health, why is there never talk about, hey, let's not tax people today?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Like how much relief mentally will that be for the entire population?
They want to push people down that road, right?
Yeah.
They want to push people, and they do this now by mental health, and now they've related that to public health. Yeah. Oh, and the CDC got real big there for a little while. Yeah. So it's got to be a public health crisis. That's what we're going to deal with firearms. They're already talking about mental health, so now we're going to make it a public health crisis. Firearms are a public health crisis.
Yeah, anything about the hypocrisy with that, right? What the numbers of teenagers and just overall people committing suicide during the lockdowns and stuff. Nope, nothing to talk about there. But now they're concerned about suicide when it's come give us your gun. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when teenagers who couldn't, interact with other teenagers, couldn't go to school, couldn't do any of those, and they're off in themselves, it was, for the public health, right? Let's not talk about that. But now it's, you know what? We could twist that and say suicide is the reason to get guns. Oh, yeah, let's push that. But not when it actually matters and we actually can save lives. So, yeah, when they say suicide, come give us your guns, I have a feeling it's not the suicide they care about. Especially when you could go home and pop some pharmaceuticals that they will happily give to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can. And
do it the easier way.
So, speaking of pharmaceuticals, and we're going to redo that podcast I did, right? We're going to redo that marijuana and guns podcast I did. Because, that was just me, and I've had a lot of people said they really like that podcast. but I want to get more people on here to talk about this and really throw around ideas. I want to get your take on it. I want to get Bathroom Paul in here and get his take on it, because we can. That's a big podcast, but when I'm doing it myself, I run out of it because I just you know what I'm saying? I just vomit it all out, and then I shut down. So, but there's another thing I wanted to talk about too, and this affects Idahoans, right? So there is a group that I have a history with called the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance, and I think they've done some good, but they still irritate me to no end, right? Yeah. The people that work there and the guy that runs it, and they just irritate me to no end. But they do some good stuff. I just don't always agree with what they do. Yeah. Now, let's talk about this. So they posted a video that talked about a House bill in Idaho called HB 167. And they said that gun owners in Idaho are at grave risk under a new bill being proposed in the Idaho House. Now, I'm going to read what they wrote on their website, then I'll talk to you about the actual bill. It says HB 167 will allow gun owners to be criminally trespassed if they go into an establishment with a no firearms allowed sign by creating gun-free zones. Under the current Idaho law, you must first be given a verbal warning to leave the property, or you can be trespassed if you don't leave. Under H Bill 167, the sign itself is sufficient notice that you are trespassing. And so now that doesn't mean, so we're not talking about like federal buildings, stuff like that. You still can't carry in no matter what right now as we speak. Okay. Mm-hmm. So they've announced this, and we need to look at this. So I got to poking around here. And then of course they said that this bill actually cleared the Idaho House Judiciary and Rules Committee by a vote of 9-8. Okay. So we need to know that. And then, of course, they are a lobbying organization, and they have to get money to work and to fund themselves, correct? Mm-hmm. And so at the very end, time is of the essence. So please send a pre-written email right now. And by the way, we might be going broke, so give us some money. Okay, so it is what it is. They got a business to run to. I think that's kind of a cheap way of doing it, even though everyone else does it that way as well. But I got to looking around, and I'm going to read little bits and pieces of this House Bill 167, because you just always want to dig a little deeper, because it's like I missed something. Did I miss something? And I did read all their comments and stuff on it, and a lot of people are saying, well, it doesn't specifically talk about firearms. Let me read the bill, and then we can talk about my take on this, okay? Not that anyone cares, but we will talk about it. I know Eli's excited to hear it. So let me see here. So this is known as the HB 167. It is relating to critical infrastructure trespass. So it's the critical infrastructure trespass bill. So it amends. I'm going to read this down here. I hate all this freaking crap. Yeah. It makes no sense to me. Well, it does. It says, a person is guilty of critical infrastructure trespass if the person knowingly and willfully enters or remains in a critical infrastructure facility or a construction site of a critical infrastructure facility without permission of the owner of the property, or after a notice is given to depart or not to trespass. For purposes of this section, notice is given by personal communication, yada, 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 fencing, physical barriers, all this stuff. A person who is found, the penalties for critical infrastructure trespass shall be as follows. Any person who pleads guilty or is found guilty of a violation is, God, I hate this, where is it at? Can be sentenced of jail, a misdemeanor, and may be sentenced to jail for a period of more than 6 months, a fine, and an amount not to exceed $1,000, and or both. So you go down and you go, what's critical infrastructure? Yeah. What would you think critical infrastructure is?
Real anything they want, because Idaho is 65% federally owned land, right? Yeah. So basically,
it's true.
That's kind of sets up the path, because we have that whole issue right now with some of the BLM utilizing land for California energy and whatnot.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
This actually kind of sets the table for something like that. If the people were to
revolt,
then it's set up to where
Good point.
Now critical infrastructure.
Good point. So we're going to come. I didn't think about that. I like it. Let me come back to that. Let me tell you what they calling a critical infrastructure facility means. Any facility so vital to the state of Idaho, including its political subdivisions, that the incapacity or destruction of such system or asset would have a debilitating impact on state or national economic security, state or national public health or safety, or any combination of those matters. And then they have a list here: chemical manufacturing, storage, use, or transportation; commercial facilities with open public access where the general public can move freely without the deterrent of highly visible security barriers; communications, critical manufacturing, dams, defense industrial bases, emergency services, energy. Financial services, food and agriculture, government facilities, healthcare and public health, hospitals, crap like that, where we can carry already. Information technology, mineral exploration, mining operations, and mineral processing, nuclear reactors, materials and waste, transportation. Okay, so sometimes when I'm talking about sometimes when I talk about stuff and I'm like we'll liken back to when I was telling you about my friend. And all of a sudden I put pieces together while I'm talking, right? Yeah. This is what I'm doing now with your help. So we have a big thing right now, this Lava Ridge wind farm. Yeah. And we have some other places where they want to start and like doing some mining and whatnot, right? And we got a whole...
And real quick, not to interrupt your thought.
You're fine.
Meta as well.
And Meta, someone brought that up.
So, yeah, that can be considered critical now.
And there's a lot of people that are upset.
Yeah, so that can now fit into the critical definition you just made. Because economic, national, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So here we go. So are they setting the table for this? Because locally, the wind farms, in my mind, those are already a done deal. And granted, we're out protesting. Granted, we're out doing this. Granted, we're out doing that. And they're letting people. This is kind of a local issue. I'm sorry if you're not from around here, but and they're letting people comment on this. But in my mind, I think it's already signed, sealed, and delivered. They're just letting us go through this, right? But I think that they've set stuff up like this to protect themselves from that. But I wouldn't put it past the government, if this goes through, to be able to try and use that for everything.
Yep.
So they mentioned in there like commercial property. What would commercial property be? Well, could that be a grocery store?
Yeah.
Could that be Walmart? Yep. What could that be, right? Yeah. Are they going to slowly infringe on our rights? And I don't encourage anyone to carry past those signs, but in Idaho right now, you can legally carry past a privately owned business, like a sign. You can carry past it and you're not going to get a firearms charge. Mm-hmm. If they see it and you do not leave, then they can trespass you. Yeah. Right. But it's not a gun charge. This is going to be a gun charge.
Yeah.
This is going to be not good for you. So it takes away some of our freedoms. And I think as you see some of this happen, as you see them come in and you see them rape and pillage Idaho, you're going to have people upset. You're going to have people upset with the different mining processes. You're going to have people upset with the wind things. You're going to have people upset with Meta coming in. You're going to all this stuff, right? I think they're just trying to cover their bases. They're saying we're going to do what we want, and we'll just pass up stuff to let us do what we want.
Yeah.
And notice how it doesn't necessarily mention firearms. It just mentions being in there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So be careful. Like they'll take an inch and they may have something that seems just simple and not a problem, and then it could be a huge problem. And I think that's how they're going to try and get stuff by us.
Yeah.
Wow, that took a turn in my brain. That's not where I was going to go with that.
Yeah, I mean,
I was getting ready to call out that Second Amendment. You knew I was.
Yeah, it just hit me as you were saying it. It just hit me. And I mean, not to go too far off, but if people understand, this is something that's tried and true in other places. Right. This is something, you go to Nigeria right now where you got oil literally in people's backyards that is just gushing out, and they have laws now to where those people can be arrested for even getting oil out of their own backyard. So similarly, it's basically along that same path that they're taking, in which we do what we want in your state.
Well, what about
if you try anything, then you're now in trouble for coming across critical what do they call it, critical infrastructure and
so the infrastructure thing is it's got a whole nother meaning, right? If you think about it, and I'm thinking about Idaho, and I'm thinking of all the natural resources that we have here. So is that just the area where the wind turbines are going to be, or is that
it's literally can cover everything?
It could cover all BLM.
Farmland, that's everything.
Yeah, well, it said agriculture.
Yeah.
So that's Bureau of Land Management. So that is Idaho.
Yeah,
that is Idaho, Bureau of Land Management. If you go up into the mountains, if you're on the national forest, if you want to take it that far, right, it opens the door. Not saying that they're directly going to go there, but you look at a national forest. What do they have in a national forest that could be critical infrastructure? And then, trees. We've got wood.
Yeah, and you think about the amount of people who live even more rural than we do, right? Who are up, probably bumping up against BLM land, right?
Yeah.
So say BLM starts to, do something to the water supply near them, right? And the response would be met with, defense, right? Now those people who say you got 50 acres up in the woods somewhere, BLM or the state, whoever decides to, cut down some trees that, affect your land, affect your property, or mining, just outside your property, in which that stuff leaches into your water system, right? Mm-hmm. Guess what? You come anywhere near us, you're attacking critical infrastructure.
No, it's exactly it. I mean, I think of lots of places where a guy could even go fishing around here, right?
Yeah.
You can't go, I don't know how far it's going to extend out on. I might just be, you always kind of have to look at the worst case scenario with these things, because that's probably where they're headed eventually, or at least the door is there for them to open if they need to.
And then at that point, all they need is the right judge.
You go fishing off a spillway. How many around here, how many parks and like fishing areas are maintained or owned by Idaho Power?
Yeah.
Right? That's critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Right? This definition is so wide and so big. This is wow.
And you think about it, right? It continues on from the essential, non-essential thing. Same thing. There was that problem, right? When they started throwing that around, it was like, well, what's essential, non-essential? And answer was, whatever we say.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Your mom and pop is non-essential. Walmart's essential.
But your liquor store is super essential.
Yeah. Yeah. Your liquor store, especially if it's state run.
I bet they never ran the crack dealers off the street. Not that they cared anyway.
They probably consider them essential.
So that's, I tell you what, if you're local, anywhere, right? If you're local especially, but anywhere, pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah, because I think that's important, right? I remember early on, I thought, it was all about state. And I remember when I came to Idaho, I was like, it's like playing tag. And you're like, I'm safe. I got to base. I'm good.
You're not safe.
But now I realize, right, all these things, whether it's in California, they put them in every state.
You want to know why you're not safe?
Why?
Because we got Californians coming to Idaho.
I hate those people.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
But right, they are trying this, so wherever you're listening to this at, in California, it's probably too late. They probably did 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But in all these other states, especially if you're rural, if you are more conservative, libertarian lifestyle, right? This is how they're going to start implementing this stuff. It's going to be in every state. That's the way these bills and stuff work nowadays, sadly, right? This is not sovereign states independently coming up with bills for their people because their people show concern. No, this is conglomerates and big government who decides, like, how can we implement this in Idaho?
Yeah.
The same thing we implemented in New Jersey.
Well, think about it. So, and I keep saying that, and I know, Tarver, he's going to get on me. Well, you keep repeating this one phrase, and I'm like, well, think about it. I say that a lot. I know, but look at it this way. See how I rephrase that? Look at it this way. Locally, those big wind turbines, right? Mm-hmm. You talked about California. Those big, and I'm not saying everyone that comes from California is bad people. I have a lot of good people in my
99% of them.
No. All the ones that I deal with are pretty good.
Yeah,
but,
they are. Yeah.
But look at California. So where's all this power going when they put these turbines? They're going back to California,
Vegas,
right?
Nevada, Vegas, and
they're headed down there, right? So why, if they've paid a little money at one point, because our governor didn't speak up on this for a long time, if they paid a little money at one point to grease the wheels and tell him to remain quiet for a long time, this is coming up from California. Why couldn't they say, well, and let's go ahead and pay this person over here, whoever, I forget who introduced this bill, this House bill. But they were a Democrat. Yeah. Let's give them a little money to introduce this because we're from California. That's the way we do it down here. And let's just try to, just bring everything together.
Well, absolutely. And then it comes down to the businesses. Even if you look at your power companies, look deep into them, or not that deep really, you'll see that they're hedge fund owned or whatever. So a lot of times it's not even necessarily California that has to do anything. It's whoever the hedge fund who owns, say, whether it's Idaho Power or whatever,
right?
They're the ones who sponsor these people when they are running. And a lot of times this is a done deal. When they're running for office, whoever's paying their bills basically gets what they want. They're calling the shots. That's who's calling the shots, saying that you're going to introduce this. This is, the what you're going to do for us now that we helped you get into this position. And then if you want to continue in that position, this is how we got you rich, or got you your spot. This is how you're returning. And a lot of times you follow those same politicians. Guess where they're going after they get voted out, or they decide, the salary with the other position is better, right? Oh, next thing you know, I'm on the board for Idaho Power. I'm on the board for whatever power company,
exactly.
After I get this passed for them, and what do you know? I get a $500,000 job. Yeah. So I think this is kind of one of those doorways into
be careful
defeating the resistance before it even can start.
I mean, as things show up here, as this area changes, and it's going to change. And not only are they trying to rape and pillage our natural resources, our poor state, but they're also bringing with them their mindset on politics and their definition of firearm or gun control, and everything comes with that. And everything. And
this is something, right, that being here, right, after thinking, this is safe, here, as far as like the people, here are just, libertarian, conservative, right? Getting here, the thing that I do realize that for anyone who is in Idaho, or really anywhere this applies to, right? It's the things I see here that people are okay with. It's a lot of Californians who left for good reason, right, are able to better see the what games they're playing, because it's like this happened 30 years ago in California. Yes, they're going to start off saying it's to protect the deer, or it's to help Idaho's economy, right, or to educate our students so that they can get good jobs after high school, right? That's how they do it, right? And they're going to put a guy in the cowboy hat to tell you it, right? Or a lady, or a lady, who dressed conservative to tell you it, right? They know you guys, right? Don't fall for it. Don't think like, he has a cowboy hat and a chainsaw. I don't think he lied to me. Yes, he would, because you're not the one paying him, right? These games have all been done in California. So all the dairy farmers who moved up here back in the 80s, all the apple farm, everyone who moved up here, right? Just this all happened in California before. They know that you're conservative and libertarian here. So they're going to attack you in a way that slips in, right? They know how to get you. If they say God and country as they pass a bill, they will gladly say it knowing that, they're lying to you.
Yeah, I'd rather have a guy smoking a joint telling me you guys are screwed. At least that one's being honest with me, right? They just
So like in California, they know they could get a guy like Gavin Newsom, who up here, right? We look at, I think a lot of people could look at it and like, the guy looks like a cheese, but he looks like American Psycho, looks like someone you go buy a lemon used car from, right? So guess what? In Idaho, they're not gonna do that. They're not gonna get that guy come to pass these bills and stuff like that. And again, in any rural area you're at, just know this, right? They're not going to get the California looking guy because they know you're onto that, right? They're going to get a horse, a cowboy hat, because they know you guys, right? So just be wary.
I think there's actually, and this is a good point. I think there's a commercial out there actually promoting these wind farms, and I don't know who's in there, if they're actors but they're all dressed up in cowboy hats. They're all wearing Wranglers, and they look like They look like ranchers. That's
Yeah.
what they do. So anyhow, let's go ahead and wrap this up. That could be a whole nother podcast. But man, I tell you, this is another podcast here. This took a turn and I like it because I did not. Did you see me when I was reading that? I was putting it together. I was like,
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
I was like, okay. So what you guys don't understand is that information literally showed up to me like 10 minutes before the podcast. So I didn't have a long time to think on it. But I tell you what, I appreciate everyone joining. We had some good comments on the live feed here, and we maintained anywhere from 4 to 6 people viewing it. It's not very many, but I appreciate the ones that are there always, and I would like to have more.
Yeah, real quick, this just came to mind, right?
Yes.
Was it Reagan? The worst words is, "I'm here from the government. I'm here to help."
Yeah,
Everybody, that's true, even if they wear a cowboy hat. Just keep that in mind.
that's right.
Them putting on a cowboy hat doesn't change the fact that they're from the government and they're not going to help.
That's right. That's right. So if you enjoyed this, share this with on your social media. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends. I got a shout out that I wanted to do, the guy that called me this week, but I'll just do it next. I'll do it Wednesday.
All right.
I'll do it on Wednesday's podcast. So I do appreciate it. You can always check out the Patreon if you want. You can support there. It's like $5 a month, or like the very, very least, the most important, share it on your social media. The more people we reach, the better the algorithm is for people to find us, and just the better it is altogether. So I do appreciate it. And this is Tasty, and I'm signing off.
I'm Treat.
we're here every Sunday afternoon with your tasty treats
Or toilet time.
or whatever. We're out of here. Bye.